Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from beautiful Italy, Serbia, Italy. It's the Maritima de Milano or something like that. Martina, yeah, how it's pronounced now. I did a whole thing about it yesterday, Kaustubha. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das, who is also in Firenze. We are both in Italy, but not together. Isn't that crazy?
We'll be together soon, Raghu.
Yep, I'm coming in on the Bologna to Firenze Express. You know, in India, they have these trains. Like if you're going from Calcutta to Puri, it's called the Jagannath Express. Isn't that great? Mm-hmm. Then there's the Radharani Express that goes from Vrindavan to Delhi. Remember that one, the Radharani Express?
I do.
Everything is transcendental, even the trains. It's good to be in Italy. Welcome to Italy, Kaustubha. You enjoying yourself?
I'm enjoying myself. You might notice that the setting that I'm in here, which is known as the Galleria d'Arte.
Are you in the museum?
The Galleria d'Arte Sacra. Yeah, the Museum of Sacred Art here. You see that painting behind me? See how incredible
that is? Oh, you're in the museum. This is the famous Mahabharata Museum.
Yeah, it's quite Mahabharata. The painting behind me is a painting of Lord Ram firing an arrow into the chest of Ravana. Wow! But it's mind blowing, man. It's like you're in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and every room just is full of paintings of Mahabharata and Ramayana. And they're really great.
It's where ABC got that song. Shoot that poison arrow in my heart.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It was a good song, by the way.
Not really.
All right.
Okay.
Well. We are, we are about to start our Italy retreat, and everybody is showing up. Zeb is showing up. He's in Rome. Tom Essig, Vivi slid down the mountains. Vivi's with you. Shout out to Vivi who organized. Lori Pag seems like she's still on her couch. What the hell is going on with Lori Pag?
She's gotta get on a flight.
She's gonna
She's leaving tonight. She's saying.
Leaving tonight. Okay. Yeah, Kathy Haggerty coming. Kathy Haggerty? No, she's not. Kathy Haggerty. All right. Well, we got a crew coming up here. I'm excited. They're like 45 people, I think.
I think it's like more than that. How many is it? It's 55.
What?
Yeah.
All right. And tomorrow is a special day. It's Krishna's appearance day. And we're going to have a special class. We just want to just make an announcement that Monday and Tuesday class is going to be at 6 a.m. Eastern time. That's noon European time. No class Wednesday, no class Friday, because we have outings, field trips.
But Thursday we're on too. So in other words, the whole week, the whole thing will be at 6 a.m. the coming weekdays, 6 a.m. Yeah. But we're going to miss Wednesday and Friday apparently.
Yeah. So mark your calendars. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern time.
So in the two special days we got, tomorrow is Jamashtami, which is Krishna's birthday.
We're going to try to do something special for that.
And then the following day.
Prabhupada's birthday.
Yeah, so we got to do something for that too.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, fantastico. Let's dive into Q&A day because I got to check out of this hotel. I'm jumping on a train right after this.
All right,
But
was
then
that old lady gonna come and chase you out? The one
did
who
you see
told
the
you to
lady?
quiet down?
She was angry, man. She's an angry old lady. I don't even speak a word of English. She's been yelling at me this whole time. I was like, grazie, grazie, grazie. That's all I can say. Grazie, grazie.
All
Okay,
right.
who's gonna
You
start
ready?
today? Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you, but this has come from Amita, who's here live with us this morning.
Ooh, Amita.
Yeah.
I think this question, she wrote it in August 2nd. We haven't got to it, but it just shows sometimes it takes a little while.
Sometimes you gotta wait a little bit. It's coming. It's coming. It's
It's
coming.
coming.
Okay, so Mita writes. She says, I listen to Wisdom of the Sages every day, and it has been the best addition in my life. Oh, so good to
Oh,
hear. Right?
Amita.
Where's the Mita from? Do we know? Mita, let us know.
Amita, write it on the board and we'll announce it.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
She could be from India. She could be from New Jersey. She could be from,
We don't know. We don't know.
Mauritius.
Could be. So she says, although I'm an other on weekdays, I make a point to be up on weekends so that I can be live with all of you Prabhus.
Oh, that's what
Last week, yeah, she's here today. Last week, I went to visit my family, and I had an interesting question which led to a conversation on karma with my 8-year-old nephew. To give you context, we are Jains. Okay, so Jains is like a religious tradition, growing out of the tradition of Bhagavatam, from what I understand,
Yeah, from what I understand, it is, what is it? Rishabhadev, or is it?
Rishabdev, yeah, it's based on, from what I understand, it has a connection to Rishabdev, who's spoken about in the fourth canto. We'll be reading about him, or is it fourth or fifth canto? Fifth canto, I think, or maybe fourth. But in any case, but they have a tradition of nonviolence, right?
Yeah, really into it. Really
yeah.
into it.
Okay, so she writes, to give you context, we are Jains. We are Jains, and as you imagine, being part of Jainism means living with as much anti-cruelty as possible. Our family has never had meat in our lives. My parents read labels of store-bought items before we consume them, so they're strict about these
Good
things.
for them.
Yeah. My nephew's parents are vegetarians as well. My nephew wants to have meat. Okay, so a little
What?
8-year-old meat rebel in the family.
Meat rebel.
That's
What's wrong with
how
meatball?
rebellion manifests in the Jain families. Can I eat some meat? Okay, so my nephew wants to have meat, and his question was, why do we not eat meat? The cow is going to be killed anyway. So if you have a burger, it does not add up to one more cow dying. Okay. Then the 10-year-old me would be a tad shocked and surprised at this question. Oh, I'm sorry, the 10 years ago me. If you would have asked, if this would have come up 10 years ago, I would have been shocked and surprised by this question, right?
But now she's
I
not
would have,
shocked.
well, here, let's see what she says. She said, I would have tried to argue with an 8-year-old on right and wrong and not care if his frontal lobe has not developed as of yet. We talked about that with Dunya. Dunya sprung that whole frontal lobe thing on us, a few weeks back, right? Okay. But thanks to Wisdom of the Sages, I wanted to understand more of where he is coming from. Why the curiosity now? And how can I explain to him that it is not okay to hurt another soul? Just because it is an animal and does not speak our language does not make it any less of a being. Regardless, I'd be interested in how you would respond to this, Raghunath. I have yet to convince my family to join me on the Wisdom of the Sages podcast journey. So I want to know of ways that we can explain to a child without traumatizing him about reasons why we should not hurt animals or any beings. Take it away.
Good question. Good question. Thank you for that question. And I think it's really important for everybody to learn how to explain things to everybody, because people are going to challenge us on a regular basis. They're going to challenge our belief system. Sometimes we just accept things because we'll just accept them. And accepting things isn't so bad if you have good people you're following from. But eventually you're going to get your faith challenged. And you have to have deep roots in why you do what you do, why you chant the holy name, why you go to kirtan, why you are restraining from this particular food or indulging in this particular food, etc. And people are going to want to know why, and we need good answers. With this one's a good one. All these types of rules of the universe, our cleanliness and truthfulness and honesty and kindness. When I break those rules, like when I kill the cow, that hurts the cow, obviously. When I steal, that hurts the shopkeeper. When I lie, it confuses the person that I'm lying to. But I like to bring it back to me. If I steal, it actually inflicts me because I've become crooked in my mind. When I lie, I've become devious in my mind. When I kill, I become merciless in my mind. So yeah, I do kill the cow as well. You're right. But at the same time, I'm doing something bad to myself. It's as if I'm dipping another layer over my soul, covering myself further and further and further. And if we want to develop, or should I say, uncover what we actually are, and we should understand the soul is very beautiful and the soul is very loving and the soul is very kind. So we have to train our external body and our external desires to act the way the soul is meant to act. The soul is meant to be compassionate and kind and loving and straightforward. The soul is not meant to be thoughtless, cruel, abandon all types of, reason. We have to understand there's cause and effect, but even the idea of cause and effect is like a threat. We should understand, like, I am going to hurt myself by not developing a compassionate heart. I know when I became a vegetarian, after a year, I became extra sensitive to even little bugs because I chose to be vegetarian for ethical reasons. And if we're going to ask God for mercy and for compassion, then we also have to demonstrate these acts of compassion. And it's very difficult for a child when you have propaganda for a Happy Meal. You want to buy a Happy Meal? You want to be happy? There's a toy in the Happy Meal. All you got to do is buy the Happy Meal and you'll be okay and you'll be happy, right? And then there's peer pressure, like, what does little Govinda have in his lunch, at public school? And he's like opening up his, sabji and dal and roti while all the other kids are having a ham sandwich and, spaghetti and meatballs. And he has to explain. There's a lot of peer pressure in that regard. So I think it needs to be explained. I think you need to go visit some farms and say, this is why we don't eat cows. They're beautiful. We want to take care of these animals. We want to love these animals. And we want people to treat us with love. And therefore, I want to be compassionate towards everything. And if people say, well, what about plants? You're going to kill plants? You can't not kill everything. Just to exist, we have to kill. So we minimize. And oftentimes with the plants, you're picking a tomato, you're not killing the plant. You're cutting the lettuce, you're not killing the plant. You're eating the berries, you're not killing the plant. Sometimes you kill the whole plant. You eat a carrot, you're killing the whole plant. But oftentimes than not, you're minimizing your violence as much as possible. Maybe lay off the carrots. How about that? You want to find, maybe, I don't know. Do Janes eat carrots? Give me a thumbs up.
Well, they definitely eat.
No, she says no.
Plants. No carrots.
No potatoes? No potatoes?
Oh, but not for the same reason. Not for the same reason, though, right? Because you do eat vegetables and stuff.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying some vegetables, you know what Janes aren't supposed to do? I'm going to get down on you for this one. Driving cars, right? Not supposed to drive cars. And they don't go and travel in anything faster than they can walk. I think that's quite fascinating. How many lives would be saved if we only went as fast as you could walk?
I think it's good for the nervous system, though, not to go too fast.
Me too. Jet skis, those must wreck you. Jet skis, motorcycles, all the fun things in this world.
Riding motorcycles through the desert.
Yeah.
Finding desert people out there.
Oh, yeah. You remember that episode?
I do. So Amita's telling us she's from Chicago. And yeah. And but one more aspect that I don't think you addressed there is he was saying, like, but I'm not killing the cow. Like, it's not that I did it. So maybe that needs to be.
Yeah, what's the difference if I kill Kaustubha or if I pay somebody? Mara, here's $50. You kill Kaustubha. $100, I'll do it. That's a horrible analogy. Forgive me for that one. What's the difference if I pay somebody to kill somebody?
I can roll with that analogy. Go ahead. Follow it out. Let's see.
Yeah, if I pay somebody to kill me, I'm still implicated in the karma. I'm implicated in that karma. Now, again, you can't.
Even the modern law recognizes that, right? Like, in other words, I don't have to pull the trigger to be guilty of murder.
Sure.
And similarly, it's my purchase of that burger that was related to the killing of the cow, so I'm still held responsible. Okay.
Kaustubha, I think she says no onions, no garlic, nothing underground. I wonder if that's because you're
But
eating bulb.
is that for reasons of ahimsa, or is that for other reasons?
Sattvic. We'd have to dig into the
Yeah.
Jain's philosophy here.
Yeah. She says ahimsa. Okay.
Ahimsa. All right, there we go. Nothing underground,
Thank you,
just
Amita.
blues. Thank you for sharing. I hope that was a good answer. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm
You'll
not.
get
I'm,
there.
I'm okay with that. I'm
Well,
okay
not
with
every the tools have different. Some are sharp, some are not sharp. You're sharp in your own way. I'm not saying you're not sharp.
some are
I
sharp.
got
But see, I know I'm
some
accepting
useful
that.
some useful tools are really dull.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Kaustubji, I got a question for you.
Okay. The other dull tool in the shed. Go ahead.
Okay. This is from Ashley Rodriguez. Man, she gets
Ashley.
all her questions answered.
You got to answer Ashley's. One, we love her so much, and two, she's going through so much in life, so we got to keep going back to
Okay.
Ashley, right?
All right. This is for Ashley. She was pregnant. She had 2 kids. She was pregnant with a third, and her husband got in this treacherous motorcycle accident in Houston or Dallas,
Texas. Yeah.
Texas. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Here's an update with a new question. This is from email. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for continuing your dedication and labor of loving service through this podcast. And thank you for reading my question. I wonder if Bhakti scriptures say anything about enduring physical pain. I know, for instance, Catholics say to give your pain up, to dedicate your pain to minimizing someone else's, so the pain isn't experienced in vain. I like this. I ask because my husband, Robert, occasionally experiences excruciating nerve pain in a leg that no longer exists. Oh my God. Phantom pain, I guess it's called. Pain beyond anything I feel, like any human should have to endure for way too long. It can last 12, oh my God, it can last 12 hours. Isn't that horrible? It's not even there and you're feeling it.
The mind is so powerful, right?
Is it the mind, or is it like a nerve ending somewhere else?
Well, if it's as she's describing it, it's pain in a leg that no longer exists. So you feel like the leg is there, but it's actually not there.
That is unbelievable. It can last for 12 hours. It seems like legitimate torture, but there's no one at the other end administering it. No information he can give up to make it stop. And there's very little medication that can come close to managing it. I'm just trying to make sense of this, why he has to experience this. I find myself speaking with God, saying he's already experienced so much and has to live life so very different than he could have ever wanted or imagined. Why does he get hit with his pain also? You performed a miracle in his survival, but please let it be a life that he wants to live. So that's her prayer to God.
That's her prayer, right?
When this pain hits him, I worry that he won't want to live. Yeah. Luckily, it does eventually subside, but it can hit at any time. Anyway, I'm just curious if anything in Bhakti addresses excruciating pain, examples of saintly people living in pain, and how they viewed it. Thank you all so much again. Oh my God, what a story. If I can just share, I hate pain. I just don't like it one bit. I'm a wimp when it comes to pain. I could never give birth, and I don't know how. Yeah,
okay. I think you're going to be safe. No one's going to ask you to, so you're going to be safe on that one.
Okay,
this life. But first of all, I want to apologize to Ashley. I was so meaning to actually call Ashley and just talk to her because I know she's going through so much, and even before I left for Italy, I was like, I gotta find time to call Ashley. But I'm sorry that I haven't, and I'm going to try to just reach out to you personally, Ashley, just because I've been so impressed with how you've been handled. Just to fill in just a few more details. It was, I think, 10 or 11 months ago that her husband had this accident. He's had over 50 surgeries. Doctors have gone back and forth saying he's going to live, he's not going to live, he's going to live. The whole time. She had a baby had a new baby in that time and already had 2 other kids to care for. So the pressure has just been so much. And I feel in some of your more recent, what you've shared with us more recently, that you're feeling a little bit pushed to the edge now. You've had that kind of faith that there's a reason behind this and all, but the fact that it keeps going on is kind of, I've picked up a little bit. If I've picked up correctly, it's a little bit like, okay, now can it stop? Or is this just some ongoing torture that has no meaning? You know, now, so let's talk about that. And here she asked, do you have any, for instance, like examples of saintly people living in pain and how they viewed it? And, I do. I was trying to think of anything for Shasha, and I didn't have as much. If I had a little more time, because I've been traveling and everything, I didn't really have. I would have liked to research this a little bit more. I don't know if Raghunath, if any thoughts from Shastra come to you of people enduring pain for long periods of time.
Haridas Thakur comes to mind, but that was like
a one-day kind of event.
Beating.
Yeah. I think of Bhakti Tirtha Swami, who was, a mentor and dear friend to Raghunath and myself. He was a powerful spiritual leader, and a person that had a very aggressive cancer, where he also lost a leg. He had to have a leg amputated,
Right.
first a foot and then the entire leg amputated, and tumors all over his body. And, it was a very aggressive form of cancer that caused a lot of pain. And he endured that pain. He didn't want his consciousness to be altered by any kind of medications and so on. But I saw in him, and now, this was someone who had spent years and years and years dedicating his every moment and all his thoughts, in bhakti to God. And we saw that level of consciousness carried him through that. And he was actually the most blissful person in the room at any given time, right? Even through that. So that's there, and it's not like we can snap our fingers and bring a loved one up to that state of consciousness. But I see, your role as his wife is hard to keep him enthused, to keep him positive. You mentioned you worried, and I totally get it. Person's after going through this for so many months is like, do I want to live? Do I want to live without a leg? Do I want to live if this pain is going to continue? And so I just want to share some thoughts, and I want to preface my sharing these thoughts with, in no way do I mean to minimize what you and he are going through. But what I want to kind of draw, what I'm sharing is just trying to keep us focused that we're learning the lessons we're meant to learn, so that these very painful experiences become very positive, growing experiences rather than crushing our faith in some way. And, of course, there's a verse that we quote so often, tat te nukampam susamikshimano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapabir vidadan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade swadayavak. That this namaste, this is the attitude that we maintain the entire time through whatever kind of pain we're going through, whether it be mental pain, physical pain, that as we're going through it, I'll read the verse. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon them, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of their past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances, namaste, with their heart, with their words, with their body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become their rightful claim. And so, there may be texts, I'm sure there are texts, and if I have time to do some research, maybe I can come back to you, that help us understand how to go through suffering better. What I can't provide for you, I can't draw a karmic line between why you and he are going through what you're going through based on something previous. But this verse is Lord Brahma himself, in one sense, the head of our lineage, right? Saying, approach, suffering is going to come to you in life. So approach it with this understanding. Always accept personal responsibility for it and maintain one's respect and love being offered to God as you go through it. And if this is the way that you adjust and I know that you do, Ashley, and I know that even and you've been like a hero with this, and I know that even at this point it's being challenged more for you to maintain that. I know that's very difficult. But this is my point, and it's a simple one, is that it gets pushed so far that you say, maybe I lose my faith in God. Maybe I lose my faith that there's meaning in all of this. And what I want to share is, when you feel that way, try to flip it. Try to flip it. In other words, this should be crushing your faith, but not crushing your faith in God. It should be crushing your faith in the material world.
Oh, I
right?
like this. I like
right.
that.
Okay.
Break your faith in the material world and the material romance.
That's what it's meant to do. And so
I'm walking around in Italy like, Italy is fun. Italy is great. Gelato. Everyone's wonderful and happy in Italy. No, they're not happy.
Right. That's how a materialist moves through this world, is like, let me arrange the matter in my body, let me work out. Let's try to make it more beautiful. Let me get the right hairdo. Let me get the right clothes. Let me decorate the right way. Let me get a suntan so that I can enjoy the world more. Right? Let me make more money so that I can buy the car that I want and the house that I want. I can attract the spouse that I want. I can do all these things. I'm going to enjoy life. And we build strategies to enjoy this material world. What's happening in life to us all at every moment, and it's happening to you right now, like it's peaking out for you. It's really been dialed up for you. But don't lose the message that you're meant to get for it. It strengthen the message that what this is saying is, Ashley, don't ever think again that your true lasting happiness comes from anything material. And the same message is there for your husband, and you're that you have. Help him understand that, right? That we're meant to understand that the deep happiness from life is internal, and we're never going to find it. Even though we try to set up everything just right, it gets crushed, and it's getting crushed really heavy for us right now, so that we will never forget this point. Let us never forget this point. And so that's, I wish I could share more with you. I wish I could be with you sometimes, because I know you're going through, it's so hard, and you need people there for your support. But I'm, again, from my heart to yours, I am inspired by you and all that you're going through. And I know that you will grow through this. And I know that, just as this verse says, you dedicate your heart, you dedicate your words, you dedicate your body to God, you offer him respectful obeisances the whole way through, even this kind of suffering. Learn through it, grow through it. Even when it pushes you to that extreme, you'll get over that. And the next day you'll be a little better, and the next day you'll be a little better. But through this, when it says you become eligible for liberation, it means you've let go of all the desires for this world. That's what you become liberated from. You become liberated from the crazy programming in our mind that tells us that our happiness is going to come from something external, anything external. And I believe that you are becoming liberated through this, Ashley. So please hang in there, and please reach out to us anytime you need, and we'll be reaching out to you too.
Kick me.
Okay.
I was in Dallas, and I was going to meet with Ashley.
You were speeding through, yeah.
I was speeding through. I feel lousy now. Sorry, Ashley.
Okay.
I want to do over. Ever just feel like saying, I want to do over?
I feel like that all the time.
I want to do over. That relationship, do over. Junior high school, do over. University life, do over. What is it called? Command Z, where you can just like undo different portions of your life.
Well, think of it this way, Raghunath. You have another chance right now to answer a question.
Yeah. Or I could take birth again and get a real do-over. Okay. You want to do over? We can arrange that for you.
No. All right. This one is coming from
today. What's up with Mara today? What's she doing?
She's walking around. What's
walking around. What's up with Mara?
She's working.
You're cooking. Okay.
She's working. She's in the kitchen.
Just checking up on you.
Okay. You ready, Raghu?
Yeah.
This one's coming from our guy, Youngblood.
Youngblood.
Evan Lewis.
All right, Youngblood.
We call him Youngblood, right? Okay, here he goes. A question which I've been grappling with for a little while now.
It's a grappler.
He's a grappler. Is it appropriate to pursue a material goal whilst on the path of bhakti?
Whilst. So
Whilst on the path of bhakti.
who wrote this? Shakespeare?
Hey, come on. He's like, he's a learned guy.
Young, educated.
Yes. He says the obvious answer is, of course, not, right? It's not appropriate to pursue a material goal while you're on the path of bhakti. But for myself, I'm still young. I don't feel that becoming a monk is right for me. And I desire to be in a career that'll take several years and lots of effort to train for. I know that no job, no amount of money, and no level of material advancement is ever going to bring me the lasting fulfillment that bhakti brings. However, does that mean that I should let go completely of my worldly dream? Is it possible to work material career choice if I can keep Krishna as my ultimate focus? I am already in what is that word? Help me out here, Mara.
Invalid?
No. I'm already
envisaging. I don't know either.
He's throwing words at us that, young blood. You got to remember who you're writing to here, okay?
A bunch of old coots, young blood.
Yeah. Okay. He says, I'm already, maybe it was meant to be envisioning ways. Let's just say envisioning, right? Because it works. I'm already envisioning ways that being in my desired line of work could facilitate service and the giving of bhakti to those who need it. Okay. If that's my motive, is it misguided to dedicate time and energy to achieving that job? Whatever happens, I'm trying to hear what Krishna wants from me. Sorry for being so long-winded. It wasn't long-winded, it was long-worded, guy. All right.
Well,
and thank you.
Go ahead.
And he says, and thank you for your words of wisdom. Namaste from a confused little boy. We just call him Youngblood because he's
well, Youngblood, thou art asking, pontificating, postulating some good points here. Do you know what's that devotee's name? He got initiated, but his name used to be Gerald. Is it still Gerald? You know Gerald?
Gerald. I think he's still Gerald, yeah.
Oh, still Gerald. Okay. When I was a brahmachari, when I was like young brahmachari, 22 or 23, Gerald used to come to the temple also. Now, I was a monk. I gave up my band. I quit everything. Gerald didn't. Gerald was like Indian. I think he's Indian, right? Gerald? Indian?
Yes.
I think about it. He got to get that name Gerald if he's Indian.
Good question. I'm not sure.
Question. But anyway, Gerald, he was come to the temple. We were friends because we were like the same age, but he was getting his, he was becoming a doctor. He was on one of the, like Indian parents that put those kids on the fast track to success. And so he was becoming a doctor or something. And I don't know if it was engineering or doctor.
A doctor.
He's a doctor. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I used to corner Gerald and just say, listen, Gerald, everything you're doing is complete Maya. Don't you understand? You could die at any moment and you're spending hours and hours and hours, in the university, just studying all this stuff that has nothing to do with the fact that you can die in a moment. You're getting distracted by all this stuff. I think, Gerald, you should just give up everything and just surrender to Lord Krishna right now. So there's two sort of different things going on here. Gerald's got a big picture of life. And the monk, who I was playing the role of the monk at the time, I got it very right in front of my face. The monks think I might leave right now, this moment, and the monks live their life like that. Now, it's maybe not the most balanced because monks are not balanced in that regard. They're looking at life is short. They don't have to worry about their kids. They don't have any kids. They don't have to worry about their homes or their mortgage or etc. They're living at the mercy of God, so to speak. Both are right and both are wrong. Like, for example, I could be like a monk. I'm really serious about this. I'm intense about this. And then all of a sudden, this is too much for me. I want to give up. Whereas a person in the material world could do it all wrong as well. They say, well, I hear what you're doing, Raghunath. I'm going to pursue this career and I'm always going to have Krishna in my life. Because I know there, like Youngblood was saying, there is no ultimate higher than Krishna, but at the same time, I have these desires. But what happens if on that path, those desires take them real south, real quick? So both are right because they have Krishna in there, and both can be wrong if you get distracted from your choice. So the real thing is, what is going to keep you Krishna conscious the longest? And if you know you have some desires, and let's face it, here's another thing. You hear about these, personalities historically, these kings of India. It's not like they were just monks. They were like incredible minds. Some were like great warriors. Some were great like Maharaj Jai Singh. I'm thinking of Jaipur. They're great astronomers, great, authors or artists or writers or leaders. And they had so many material qualifications, but they're also very focused on Krishna. So you need not give up anything. You need to just add Krishna to it. I find in my own life, I like doing, I did jujitsu for many years. I never looked at it as separate from Krishna. Matter of fact, I'd always tell people about Krishna. Wherever I go, just tell people about Krishna. It's just part of like what you are. I don't think you have to give up anything per se. You just add Krishna to whatever you do. Now, you'll pay for it in one sense. To the degree you go off of that monk's path, that means you're mixing up with the material world. And what's up with the material world? It's got some issues. Material world's got some issues. It's got some sinkholes in it. To the in one sense, I say, well, I can go anywhere, and I'm always focused on Krishna. You can, but the material energy also has some like little pokes going on in it, and pinpricks going on in it. So you also got to be careful as well, because it can be very distracting. You can get very lost. You can put yourself like in maybe harm's way. Is it evil to take on hobbies or careers? No, it's not evil. If it makes you stray too much from Dharma, then you might want to check in with it. Like if you say, that's my hope and dreams always to become the best butcher in New York City, I'd say you might want to rethink that career.
I'm with you on that one.
I think for the most part, you can tie everything in back to your bhakti, and you're allowed to become very qualified at many things in this world.
We're seeing this playing out a little bit with what we're reading in Bhagavatam right now, right? Because you have Kardama Muni, who's out there in the forest just meditating on Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
And then you have Swayambhuva Manu, who's like got the worldly responsibilities, and to be qualified for that takes training and time and effort, and it means mixing with worldly people and all that. But both were equally dedicated to serving, right?
Yeah.
So it comes in both forms. All right. So Youngblood, go for it.
Youngblood,
right?
I hope that was
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I named Youngblood after the other. We had the original Youngblood, Ian, who came with us to Nepal. He was the original Youngblood. He was like 22. And he came to Nepal with me. And then he just goes, I'm staying in Nepal. He's been living with
Sadhu.
I don't know. He's never came back. And he's from my hometown. He's from Chatham, New York. I knew his mom. I was his mom's yoga teacher. He just went out. He's living with sadhus in caves and traveling in the Himalayas. Nice guy.
Well, we got to check back in with him at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to send him a text.
Maybe I have to do that. All right, so we got one Youngblood up in the mountains, and one Youngblood doing something over there in England. We don't know what it's going to be. We got to find out. Share with us more about what this is all about, Youngblood.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. You know where I got that from, Youngblood? I got that from that Saturday.
I know where I got it from. Saturday Night Live. That chess video.
Just put SNL Youngblood in your YouTube search.
Have a seat, Youngblood.
Have a seat. This is the Queen. You know the name of this piece? It's Horseface. Okay, dear Raghunath, Kaustubha, and Mara.
Oh, who's it coming from? Who's it coming from?
It's just coming from Erica Schneider. I knew it, Erica Schneider. It must be a different one. Dear Raghunath, Kaustubha, and Mara, I am an other who listens to your podcast whenever I can, though my husband is a regular Zoomer. Huh. Oh, you know who that is? That is Todd Harris.
Okay.
Erica Schneider.
He's married to Todd Harris?
Married to Todd Harris. Both are stubborn and will not change their name.
Working the pole position lately a lot.
Yeah, he has been. Okay.
All right.
Also came through Cindy Lunsford ish. More credit to Cindy Lawrenceburg.
Cool.
Okay, first, I want to thank you for all the wisdom, inspiration, and guidance you offer. I feel so fortunate to have found the door that opened me up to an incredible way of living, thinking, and being. I am too. I feel the same way. I'm grateful for it every day. Appreciation is the sign of your spiritual evolution. Mara, t-shirt. Serious though, appreciation is a sign of your spiritual evolution. Okay. I feel so fortunate to have found the door that opened me up to an incredible way of living, thinking, and being. I'm grateful for it every day. A recent experience compels me to reach out. The other day, on my way to an appointment, I was stopped at a light, and a homeless woman with a sign stepped up to my car. I was not in a position to give her anything at the time. When I left my appointment, I set aside cash I had with a mind to give it to her, but she was gone by the time I returned. In this instance, I had cash, but I don't always. And even if I kept cash on me at all times, it would be impossible to give money to every person I come across in this situation. Not only because I'm not in a position to do so, but also because it isn't always safe. What I think about the most is how this is another human being. And what if we ignore them or look past them? It's dehumanizing. We can acknowledge the other person, but with nothing to give. We can acknowledge the other person, but with nothing to give, that feels empty. So my question is, how can we reconcile this when following the Bhakti path? How do we choose who to help when we can't help everyone? Kaustubha, are you going to go to the 17th chapter of the Gita here on this one?
I was going to mention the 17th chapter. Yeah, I was going to go there, but there's somewhere else.
I'm thinking like Kaustubha.
Okay. It's a great question, Erica. And you know what I really appreciate, what's insightful about her question, is her question is dealing with both sides of the equation here. It's dealing with the giver as well as the receiver.
Right.
Right. In other words, if I don't respond to this, I'm moving through the world and I'm approached by someone that's asking me for help. Right.
Right.
Now, how I respond doesn't only affect the person that's approached me, but it also affects me. It shapes my own mind in a particular way, right?
Yep.
So that's an important principle in bhakti. And I wanted to read something from the guru of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Okay, and this is a little story about him. You may have heard this before, Raghu. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he's also called Prabhupada, that's an honorary title. He was traveling through Orissa with his disciples. Orissa is a state in India. One day he was coming back from the Shakshi Gopal temple, an important temple there. Some people on the way asked for alms from the married men who were accompanying him, but none of them gave anything. So he's a big, important spiritual leader. He's a sannyasi, a renunciate, so he doesn't have any money himself. But he's with his disciples, among whom are married men, and so they were approached for charity. He said, but none of them gave anything. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in seeing this, stopped, sat down, and started to talk about the duties of married men. Okay, so right on the spot he addressed this. And he said, during his chat, he said, if married men, and this means women as well, right. He was speaking to men in that forum. If married men think, I must not give any of my money, which I consider reserved for Krishna. He's even putting this in a bhakti context, right? Even if you justify this by saying, everything I offer to God. If married men think, I must not give any of my money, which I consider reserved to Krishna, to the poor and deprived, then they are really showing symptoms of wretchedness, cruelty, and lack of compassion for others. They should not consider that giving charity to the poor is a fruitful activity. Now, some people, like coming from the Vedic tradition in India, would think, okay, I give in charity because I expect that that'll bring me good karma. It'll come back to me. He's saying, don't think of it that way. And in bhakti, we try to leave that mentality behind. But it's not that you leave charity behind. Right? You leave the idea that I want to get something from this charity behind, that I want in my next life I'm born rich or that kind of thing.
Right.
So he said, if married men think I must not give any of my money, which I consider reserved for Krishna, to be to the poor and deprived, then they're really showing symptoms of wretchedness, cruelty, and lack of compassion. They should not consider that giving charity to the poor is a fruitful activity. This kind of mentality shall make their hearts hard, and they will suffer of greed. So how you respond to these situations, there's two considerations: helping that person, what happens with that person, as well as how you're shaping your own mind or your own heart. And particularly in bhakti, we want that heart to become softer, softer, softer. We want all our actions, all our rituals, all our mantras, all that we do, all our actions, how we respond socially. All of that is meant to make our hearts softer at every step, so that when we chant that name, we actually connect fully with God. So everything becomes important. Everything is seen in that context. He says, this kind of mentality shall make their hearts hard, and they will suffer of greed. As a result of this, they shall not want to spend their money, not even the devotion on the devotional service to the Supreme Lord, because now you've become hard-hearted, which is the ultimate goal in life. This will invite offenses in the service. To save ourselves from this kind of deceit and sinful concept, Sri Gaura Sundar, Sri Chaitanya, used to give money and things like that to the poor people during his pastimes as a married man. The money that we have only gotten by the Lord's grace. If we give some of it to the mendicant or poor people, then it is not a waste of money. Rather, it is its correct use. Serving prasadam, food cooked with devotion, to others is the necessary duty of every married Vaishnava. Really important, right? Even if these people have become poor because of their own karma or their destiny, even so, they're still part of the Lord's family. Therefore, it is definitively the solemn duty of every honest married person to help them. And you see, when we talk about, he's speaking to people in a particular social context, where when you're young and unmarried, you're not making money, right? You're a student. It's not really your responsibility to give charity. And in your older life, you're retired. You're also not working. But when you're married, it's considered part of what it means to be married, is that I'm making money, and therefore it becomes part of my responsibility to care for people with that money. And even if I don't have a lot,
money.
Yeah, exactly. It purifies the money, softens the heart, right? And so this question, I like how Erica is picking up on that. Like, how does it affect me as well? Now, I know that Bhagavad Gita, as Raghunath was alluding to in the 17th chapter, it speaks about giving charity. And it speaks about giving charity in sattva guna, in the mode of goodness, where you're thinking clear and lucid, right? And it says, charity given out of duty, because it's the right thing to do, right? Without expectation of return, at the proper time and place, and to a worthy person, is considered to be in the mode of goodness. So we do want to consider carefully how we should consider, particularly for married people, for people that work in this world and that earn money, that I have a responsibility to give in charity. I have a responsibility. And when someone approaches one, well, especially at that point, and Shastra speaks a lot about this too, right? Like, the devas come in disguise. I think we spoke about that on one of our first shows. Do you remember that, Raghunath, when we were in the Eco Village? 2 Januaries ago.
Jesus comes and asks,
Jesus,
not
yeah,
a
yeah,
beggar.
yeah. Like
Please
Jesus,
give me food. No, Jesus, get out of here.
It's Lord Shiva come, and they're testing us, right? Like, seeing how do you respond. But
Yes.
In one sense, every moment is a test, right? And every person that we meet is a test. Whether God is in their heart, whether they're Lord Shiva or Jesus or whoever they are, right? Like, God is right there.
Like, God's in their heart anyway.
How will I respond? And so she's saying, I don't necessarily have money to give to everyone. Sometimes I don't feel safe giving money to someone, right? And she used the word dehumanizing, which I thought was really important too. Now, I live in New York City, right? Or let me say this first. In Mumbai, where there's so many beggars and you get approached so often, Radhanath Swami, he created a policy for all the devotees of Radha Gopinath Temple, which is like thousands of devotees. And they all do this, and you can see this. Like, if you're in a car with a devotee from the Radha Gopinath Mandir, these followers of Radhanath Swami, they all carry with themselves, like in their purse or their bag or in their car, if not money, at least little packages of prasadam, little food packages, right? So, like, if you get picked up to the airport when you're there by some devotees, and what always happens more often than not, when you pull over at a stoplight, you get approached by someone, They always reach and they have prasadam to give them, and people are happy to receive that. So he instilled within his community, Radhanath Swami instilled within his community the idea that we must support these people. And beyond that, they've created they're feeding over 300,000 kids a day, in the schools and all this. So they take this seriously. They're doing it on a mass level like that, but even on that individual level, he wanted that when someone approaches you, you respond. And here she's saying, sometimes maybe it's even dangerous. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I live in New York where you also get approached every day walking down the street, several times usually in a day. Someone's going to ask you for something. I try to keep small bills on me, so that I can give something. Sometimes I see someone and I feel like this person is so out of it that this money is going to be misspent. I feel strongly that this money will be misspent so that it will actually do them more harm than good.
Sure.
And in that case, I don't want to give.
That's charity in the mode of ignorance, they say.
It can be.
Because you're giving money for them to implicate themselves in
harm themselves.
Tragic things.
But what she said here, she said, what I think about the most is how this is another human being. And what if we ignore them or look past them? It's dehumanizing. And I actually always make a conscious effort that even if I don't give, I look at them in the eye, and I'm saying, I'm sorry. I wish I could help you. And I wish them luck, like that. And I usually, what I do is I use the term brother, like that. I say, I'm sorry, brother. I wish I could help you. And I find that practically, unless I'm dealing with someone that's completely mentally damaged, they appreciate it. And they respond in a way because they're approaching people one after another and it becomes dehumanizing for them. It becomes like they're less than human the way that they're treated. And when you turn around and treat them like a brother, like a sister, it actually is, in a sense, you've given them something. You haven't given them money, but you've given them something. You've given them that sense of humanity. You've given them that sense of brotherhood, right? And you can wish them well, and you can say Hare Krishna. You can say, or you can say God bless you, like that, And in this way, your own heart, is the softness of your own heart is preserved this way. So I would say, you should, Erica, as well as anybody else, should make it a point. If you're earning money in this world, it should be a responsibility. I give here, I give there, I give. You can't give to everyone. Sometimes I get approached by people that are collecting to help children, and I'll walk past them and they'll get a little on my case, like, don't you care about children? It's like, I may be giving to children in another way. I'm giving to children like I give to the Vrindavan Food for Life. Right, because they're taking care of children there, and I trust that every cent is going to be spent really well. And if people want to look into a place to give charity, that's a great place to start. Vrindavan Food for Life, in Vrindavan, where they take care of so many beautiful girls, like hundreds and hundreds of girls that were living in the uttermost poverty, and it's really uplifting for them. So, we should figure out, where am I going to give charity? How much am I going to give in charity? So that's our broader strategy. And when we're approached by people, we should also respond in that way. We may give them something, or if we can't give them something, or if we're uncomfortable giving them something, if we're worried that they'll misspend it, then still we can wish them well, and we can look them in the eye and do it in such a way where it's not dehumanizing for them, and it's not hardening the heart of ourselves. And it's something that none of us should ignore. It's important. We are being tested in a sense, right? We are being tested by God within the heart of every living being. That we learn to respond to people, to people in all circumstances, not only this circumstance, but even this circumstance trains us how to respond to people in every circumstance. That even sometimes for no reason, people come up and insult you. People come up and get aggressive with you. In all those circumstances, we're being tested. I share this, I've shared this before, but it was such a learning experience for me. Once I was in Vrindavan, I forget what place, but we were off at some distant holy place. And it was that Srimati, this woman who's she's like a guru, she's like a saint, in Vrindavan. And she brought us to this distant place, and we're sitting down, and she was going to begin to tell us these stories about Krishna's Leelas. And, you traveled, from the other side of the earth to be here for this, to learn and to hear in this setting. And there were all these little Brijbasi kids, like little kids from the villages, that were just being insulting and just, really troublesome, And she just turned to all of us and said, don't be bothered. Don't be bothered. And then she said this. She said, they're just testing us. They just want to see if we're actually really sadhus, right? They want to see if we're just like materialistic people that ended up there, or are we actually spiritual people that have good hearts and you know, and controlled minds and so on. And so I reflect, I heard, that must have been 30 years ago that she said that, and it stayed with me and it stayed in my heart, that we are being tested at every moment. We're being tested by when we walk down the street and someone asks us for something, you know. And so I like Erica's thinking on this, and I think, again, give where you can. Have a broad strategy of how you want to give in this world. You're not obligated to give to every person that stops you on the street. Sometimes you might even feel that it's dangerous, and that's okay. Then make sure you take care of yourself. But also try to always deal with people. You may feel that it's not wise to give to them, that they'll misspend it. You may not have anything on you, but if you respond in such a way that it's actually caring and from the heart and in a sense with love for every living being, then it keeps your heart soft so that when you practice your bhakti, it'll be effective. All right?
That was beautiful, my friend. And we're out of time. And I'm getting evicted from my hotel. Well,
well, we're looking forward to see you over here. We got room for you over here.
Good. I'm coming. I'm getting on that train. I'm getting the Radharani Express. And I'll see everybody on Krishna's appearance day tomorrow. If you want to join us live on Zoom, if you're one of the others out there listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you just got to email Mara, the Wisdom of the Sages 108, gmail.com, and say, please give me the secret codes. Who's in the background there? We got Vivi. Oh, look at this.
Load up. Here, I gotta get up. By the way, so we're at 6 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, right?
6 a.m. Eastern time. I'm looking forward. Wisdom of the Sages 108 at gmail.com. Please join us, and we'll see you in the Mahabharat Museum tomorrow. Maybe we'll give everybody a tour of the Mahabharat Museum. Oh, your internet stinks there. Remind me to do something about our internet, Kaustubha. Right, Mara? He's all choppy. Even they're dancing. Looks like they're doing the robot.